Welcome to FoodPoint episode 112, Basic Macarons. Please note that this is the final episode of season 1, however I will likely make some additional posts prior to the start of season 2 on June 5th. For this recipe you'll need 3 large egg whites, 2 cups of icing sugar or confectioner's sugar, 1 cup of almond meal, half a cup of caster sugar, and 2 tablespoons of water. Optional ingredients are half a tablespoon of powdered egg white. This adds a little extra body to the mixture, but if you can't get it, don't worry. I've also added 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract just to show how liquid or gel colours and flavours can be added to the mixture. If you're using powdered colours or flavours, I would suggest adding them with the dry ingredients instead. Place the caster sugar, water, and vanilla into a pot and place over a medium-high heat. I would recommend against stirring as you could cause the sugars to crystallise, but there's no issue if you swirl the pot until the sugars dissolve. Adding the colours or flavours at this point means that any additional liquids will evaporate, plus it will disperse into the meringue more evenly so you don't accidentally overmix later. While waiting for the sugar to come to the boil, add both liquid and powdered egg whites to the bowl of a stand mixer and bring to a soft peak. By now the sugar syrup should have come to a boil, so remove it from the heat, then slowly pour into the egg whites while the mixer continues at the highest speed. Be very careful as melted sugar is very hot. Leave the mixer going for approximately 10 minutes or until the bowl is cool to the touch. Sift together the icing sugar and almond meal over a sheet of baking paper, ensuring that you dispose of any larger lumps. Then funnel this into the meringue mixture and fold until combined. You don't need to be too gentle with this, but try not to overwork it either. Add the mixture to a piping bag and line a couple of trays with baking paper. If you want to make sure that your macarons are all a similar size, trace something round onto the paper with a pencil and then pipe onto the opposite side. To stop the paper from sliding on the tray, pipe a small blob of the mixture into each corner of the tray and use it to stick down the paper. Then pipe out the mixture. I would usually pipe my macaron shells smaller than this, but I've made them bigger so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. In order to knock out any larger air pockets, bash each tray against the counter a few times. Then leave them in a dry area for 20 to 30 minutes until they form a skin. Bake in a 170 degree oven for 15 to 17 minutes. Then remove and allow to cool before filling. If you're like me, you'll want the final macarons to look as good as possible, so you'll want shells with a fairly round shape and no cracks in the top. Shells with cracks will taste just as good as the others, but they won't look as nice. And sometimes you'll have shells that look relatively good, but are just not round enough to match the others. You can dust the shells with icing sugar, fruit powders, or I've even used sherbet powder before, and then fill them with ganache, whipped cream, or flavoured buttercream. In this case, I've decided that these will be cappuccino macarons, and so I'll dust them with some cocoa and icing sugar, and then fill them with a coffee buttercream. Serve them however you like, but they stack easiest on their sides. I hope you've enjoyed this recipe and all the other recipes from Season 1. Subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for Season 2 in 6 weeks. As mentioned earlier, I'll still make a few posts during this time, so please keep watching.